Okay, hi everyone. I've come from Pearson today.
Sorry, this is Abby.
Hello, yes, my name's Abby. And I'm going to talk to you a bit today about one of the products that you will be using as a part of your
We just started on Monday.
Teams courses. So you're using Real Life? Yeah. Who is everyone in here using it at the moment?
No.
Okay. Brilliant. Okay. Yeah. How are you finding it?
It's okay. It's quite a good level for the age. So it's quite topics are quite good for the age of the students. But grammar, I'm beginning to maybe a bit more sort of chunky grammar. But as I said, I'm only about 2 or 3 minutes. I did use it last year, and I didn't find it a problem then.
Okay.
But this time around, I'm beginning to think I could do with something a bit less. Some of the grammar just seemed to be okay. We'll do this, and then here you are. Here's an exercise on this, and then there's another one later. But,
okay, noted. We might come back to that a bit later. But it's always good. Feedback's always good because, of course, we do feed it back to content development, and it does get taken into account. Which is quite good when I get to meet teachers, for example, who are actually using the products. Then it's very useful to know what they think. I was a teacher myself for about 8 years. I haven't taught young learners probably since 2000 and I'm going to say 11. That's just a guess. So mainly what I did for the last 5 years was adults. So you are going to be the experts in terms of your learners here, because I haven't done it for about 5 years, but I'm going to help you a bit with the product itself and how it can actually enhance your lessons. So what I thought we'd think about first of all, before I launch into kind of looking at a product, usually before we want you to use something, we want you to think about what...
sorry, I didn't
I
understand.
thought it was an ice cream van.
Sorry, my kids must have been playing with my phone again.
Teenagers. That's
Yes.
what happens.
I used to put the Mexican hat dance one on my dad's phone. He used to enjoy that. So thinking about, you know, when you're using a product, why is it there? What's it for? Or is it just a bit of a gimmick? When it's something to do with digital, and particularly when you're pressing buttons and things, I think a lot of the time people think it's the latter. You know, do we really need that? Or is it just something that's there for students to kind of press, things like that? So just for a second, I want us to think a bit about classroom management. So most of you here have gone through some kind of teacher training, CELTA, Delta. When we were doing our lesson plans, we had to think and anticipate things like linguistic problems, but also classroom management. With your young learners, particularly young learners, but students in general, what kind of classroom management problems do you encounter frequently, often, sometimes?
First language, basically. For example, I've got a lot of young Spaniards at the moment, and you have to mention it almost all the time.
Okay, so they're speaking in the L1. Okay. And do you have mixed nationality classes? Yeah. But do you ever find, because I suppose when you've got lots of Italians or lots of Spanish in the group, they will merge and tend to converse with each other in their mother tongue. Yeah, a good point. Any other problems?
Technology now, you know, phones and constantly hearing of things and tapping away at the
So they get distracted quite easily. Yeah. Ooh. Again, something to press. Yeah. Something to swipe. Okay. So L1, distractions, technology. Anything else? I've brainstormed a few of my own ideas, but as I said, this is from my memory from when I used to teach teams.
Speed as well. They complete tasks quite quickly.
Yeah.
And,
Concentration span.
yeah.
And is that across the classroom, or do you find sometimes it's one student or a couple that are speeding ahead, and then the others are playing on their phones?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I used to remember there was that idea of, and I think I used to do this at school too, if I finished it, the faster I did it, the better it was. And I didn't really concentrate on what I was doing. Just bam, done that, what's next? So there is this issue as well with young learners. They don't really think, I don't really need to think about that as long as I finish it.
They're not really
Teachers
interested in
happy.
the, you know, it's like the closed group of Swiss we get. They're not really interested in why they got the wrong answer, or why they got the right answer,
Yeah.
or whether there's. They're not really into metacognitive knowledge.
Yeah.
It's just next.
Yeah.
Give me another exercise.
I mean, one of the things as well, I mean, why are they here? Why are they in Eastbourne? What are they doing?
Oh, I don't.
They're on holiday, so they're like, classroom, don't really want to be here. Why am I here? Why am I not outside? And also, I used to find as well that they didn't really respect this classroom environment because it wasn't the one that they were used to. They didn't really respect you as their teacher because you weren't their teacher. Their teacher is in Switzerland or wherever they've come from. So various issues going on there. I think that those are most of the ones I've got. Any others? Any classroom management or any kind of learning issue?
I find that sometimes if they're, whereas with adults, this is actually very new for me teaching young learners as well, but I've found that I'm trying to do pair work, I've sometimes found it's actually easier to put them in 3s or 4s, because if one student's with another that's not terribly cooperative, you know, adults kind of, they're all cooperative, but sometimes a 3 works better than a 4 or a weaker student, or just it's like sometimes, you know, groups run
One's tired or disengaged.
Yeah, you don't,
The other
and
one's
another
talking
one's
to
really,
himself.
really kind of conscientious and wants to get something done. It's sometimes better to have a slightly, you know, even pair, actually did a kind of a pair work thing normally, but in 4s. So A's and B's were together and B's, you know, just slight changes. I made slight changes in the
They haven't
dynamics.
quite developed those people skills yet, have they, to encourage each other. If one's tired, the other will just sit
Not
there
less cooperative.
and say nothing.
So at least,
Yeah. Okay. So I want you to bear these things in mind because I think that when we're thinking about something like Active Teach, this has actually been designed to deal with a lot of these issues. So instead of me just coming in and saying, hey, look at this, it's actually, what I really want you to think about is actually what has this been designed for? What research went into this? What kind of teacher feedback led to this product being developed? Okay, so let's look at the product for a second then. So I've product matched, I've listened to your issues, this is what the problem is, and I say, okay, great, we've got this tool here which could help with some, maybe not all, but some of those issues that you've got going on there. So, is everyone familiar with what Active Teach is?
No.
No? It's IWB software. Yes. I had to familiarise myself with all of this when I started at Pearson. IWB is a bit misleading. This isn't an IWB, it's an active panel. As I said, this is my first time using one and it's very exciting. And it seems to be pretty easy to use, so that's good. So it can be used with a projector and a computer, it can be used with an IWB, it can be used with something like this. Basically, it's a DVD-ROM that you can upload and you use it so that you've got an interactive version of your course book. But on top of that, you've got myriad teachers' resources as well, which I will be showing you in a bit. So there's it's kind of 2 prongs. You've got for the classroom use, and then you've got outside classroom use. Okay, is that clear so far? Yeah? So what I'm going to do is walk you through, first of all, the actual classroom use part of it. Okay. So again, keep bearing in mind those things that we talked about, and if you've got any questions, then just stop me. I won't say wait till the end because you forget, and then no questions come. Okay, so first of all, when we go to the home, you'll see these 2 options here. We'll look at that one in a second. We want this one for now. So you'll come to a menu of all of the pages in the course book. I'm looking at Unit 11 because I like art. So that's why I'm looking at this one, no other reason. It's not different, it's not more special. So you'll get a page which is a spread of the course book. Okay. Up here you see a kind of toolbar. I'll show you what all of these do as well in a second. you need to look at icons as well. Each icon, where it's got the, so this one here is a bit different from the, so there are two different ones. This one here will give you an interactive version of the exercise itself. So, let's go to this one. So, for example, if you want to do your feedback as a class, you can go to the interactive version of it and get students to come up and fill in the boxes. Oh, two wrong. Okay. So wherever you see an icon, is it frozen? Okay. Wherever you see an icon, that's where something interactive has come up. Okay. One of the other really good features about it is that you've got everything in one place. So gone are the days when you had to come into the class with a video player and a tape player, or CD player even. So you don't have to bring the CD with you, you don't have to find the track. If you've got any listening activities, this is a pronunciation one, I'll show you a listening one further on. But you click on the
CD4, track 13, unit.
It's all there for you. So you don't need to play a CD anymore. So, yes, death to CDs. Okay, so let's look at the toolbar. This arrow is probably one of the most important things about Active Teach because, as you can see, I mean, my eyes are quite bad actually. I'm not wearing my glasses today, but I would not in a million years. I can't even read, but I kind of read it if I do that.
Sure.
Hello. This zooms in. So
You might want to sit on this side.
let's say, for example, we're leading in. We want to look at the vocabulary. So you choose the arrow there and you click on the part of the page that you want to zoom into. Okay? Then, second most important one is this hand. Is the hand helps you to position the page where you want it to be. There is this option too. This is a zoom. So this will show me the screen as it is here. Actually, I can zoom in even further. Okay, so you can play around with it. Okay, so let's see. Let's move over to here. I have to say I'm not very good with digital things, but this is actually very intuitive. So you'll get used to it really, really quickly. It's actually a lot easier doing it with something like this active panel than doing it with a mouse, because the arrow is less sensitive. So yes, I'm actually very much enjoying this, because usually I'm using a mouse and keyboard. Okay, so the zooming, that's the important part. You might want to do things like, oh, is it not?
That's it still in the hand or not?
Yeah.
Oh, is it freezing?
It has done actually a couple of times.
Yeah, saying earlier on it did something
You
else.
can save the situation with a.
I'm just going to do it with a mouse for now. It's easier with your hand, but you can highlight and you can circle. So you might want to think about it before the class. You might want to think, okay, maybe we want to look at lexical sets here, or collocation, or bits of key grammar. So you might want to actually, before it, have a look at the page, have an idea of which vocabulary, which grammatical elements you're going to want to highlight to them. But that's just a way of, focusing their attention on the board and on the vocabulary that you want them to be looking at. If you want to get rid of that, let's see if this is working. No. I cursed it by saying I was having a good time. If you want to get rid of it, these two, be careful of this one. This is a spray can, and if you press that, everything disappears. So if you've spent the last half an hour with your students, okay, let's underline that, let's underline that. If you press the spray can, it will all disappear. But if you've made a mistake, you can press this one, and it just gets rid of the last thing that you did.
I wonder if you have to go back to the arrow and then, I don't know, will that make any difference?
You mean to see if I can do it with my hand again?
Yeah.
Let's see. No. I don't know if it's this level or not. We'll have a look at it afterwards, but this one's being a bit too temperamental. It is easier with your hand, but I'll just carry on with the mouse for now. The only bit, you know, that's a lot easier is actually circling, because you've got a bit more control. Okay. So is that clear what these tools do?
What's
so
the
far?
top right? Was that a rubber?
This is a rubber,
Mm.
so I can get rid of that.
But the spray gun sort of really
Spray
low.
gun
Yeah.
is the lot.
It just means clear page.
So
Can you see the spray can?
yeah, I'm just making some
All over it and then
Yeah.
X-ray, that's it. Yay.
Okay, so it's all gone.
Can you save your version of that page? So say I twiddle around that and annotate it and everything. Can I save it?
I
as a
don't
separate-
think that you can with real life. With Speak Out, Cutting Edge, and New Total English, with those versions of Active Teach, you do have the option when you open it to save your work. And I have a feeling that with real life you don't.
Right.
To be honest, there are fewer features with this one, so there's not actually that much to save. If at any time you want me to show you the Speak Out one or any of those have got a few more features on them that if you use those, you'd probably be wanting to save your pages because you'd be actually adapting the course book a lot more. So these ones are a lot simpler in what they do, but that being the case, they're doing what they need to, basically. You're zooming into the page, you're focusing the students in the right area, and you're highlighting vocabulary and grammar that you are focusing on in that lesson. But I'll check. It's just that whenever you open it, you can't see the option. Okay, so that's the toolbar. Let's go on. Okay, so moving through, navigating through the pages, arrows. This arrow here is to return to where you came from, and I would use that, for example, if I wanted to go to this interactive version of the listening exercise. You can even play it from here.
We did a course together in popular music at Manchester.
If I want to go back to the page, I press this middle arrow. Okay. Now, one of the really good features, when I saw this, I thought
CD4, track 14, unit 11.
is it shows the tape script.
We did a course together in popular music at Manchester University, and then we decided.
Mainly, we do other people's.
We did a.
Mainly, we do other people's songs.
So I can move around it as well. So if maybe there's just one part of it that they've missed, you don't have to do all of that, rewind backwards. You just click on the part that you need to play again and you can listen there.
Can you do that again?
Yeah.
Too much for people.
CD4,
Okay.
track 14, unit 11. We did a course together in popular music at Manchester University, and then we decided we both wanted to travel. So we started out in Dublin, then we went to Brussels, and now we're here in
Mainly, we do other people's songs because that's what people.
So I can skip from Kirsty to Ben to interviewer. You can as well print from Active Teach. So what you might want to do, for example, is print out this kind of fresh tape script and manipulate it in some way, adapt it, cut it up, maybe make a gap fill exercise. It's a lot easier than going to the photocopier and blowing up the tape script and then Tipexing it. And then, yeah, I remember all that rigmarole. So a lot of the things that you find on here you can print straight from the software itself. So the audio is one of the good features as well. As I mentioned before, yeah, whenever you see this icon, it means that there's an interactive version of this particular exercise. Any questions?
So that means students can come up and share
Yeah,
their answers.
exactly. Yeah. And if the panel is working, we just come and kind of get them to. You get them to click.
Send it back.
I can't remember what it was, but the panel did freeze early on. I can't remember how we got it unstuck.
Yeah.
You have to shut. It's frozen about 4 times. You have to shut it and reboot it.
Well, at least if that happens, you've got the option of. There's not disaster.
There's also the pen. I wonder if the pen works.
I don't know what the pen.
Well, it should work as a mouse, but.
Can you,
Try that.
on this screen, can you use 2 pens at the same time? Rob? No?
Yeah, you can. I think 15 people can write with their fingers.
Okay.
Okay.
And then it freezes completely.
La 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 la. Right. Sometimes there are features in it that are not actually, they're extra ones. Yeah, so this, for example, is an extra activity that you actually wouldn't find in the course book. So there are those options as well. I would just say, have an explore. I won't have time to do every single thing with you today, but it's there for you to explore and kind of make the most of. Okay, now the real-time section, as you know, comes with a DVD component where they can see videos, which practice the same language but in a different context. So, for example, can you remember where they are in? I think they're in Edinburgh. So the way it works with real life is that they follow 2 characters, very sympathetic people, everyone loves them. They follow them in different cities, and I think intermediate is Edinburgh. No. Sometimes they're in Brighton, sometimes they're in Bristol. I think these 2 are in Edinburgh. Anyway, we like them, they're very interesting. But also, you can play a DVD. Or not. Well, no.
I'm going to try the other level. Have you got the print speed on?
Yeah, let's try that one.
Whenever I've done it, it worked fine.
It must be my.
No,
My evil
I think
self.
it's something.
Let's see if this will work. Yes. Okay. Let's just do this one. Oh no, I've done on exactly the wrong one. Never mind. So you can play the DVD straight from here as well.
5.
Again with the script as well. You might want to print that out so they can read it out and act it out too.
You know Dave, don't you?
Yes.
Again, maybe you could do a
So
gap
we're
fill
around,
so
hi there.
that
Hi,
when they're
John. Nice to
listening,
meet you again.
they're filling in gaps.
And I'm Sally,
Watching.
Hannah's mum. Hi.
Hi, Sally.
Okay.
Hello. Hello.
Really good. I get really absorbed by those videos. Any questions about the DVD? We'll be looking at the teacher's resources in a second, and that will show you where you can find worksheets and so on for that one. Does anyone know what this is? Skills multi-ROM? No? The Skills multi-ROM comes with a workbook, and if you don't use the workbooks, you don't have the workbooks,
We
then
have
absolutely
got the
fine.
workbooks.
You've got, so that comes with what the students might do. Maybe you use it as homework, or maybe you use it in the class. But you can actually access all of that material from here.
So that means I could photocopy from that one, whereas I can't photocopy from that one. Is that right?
You can print from this one. And actually, you can photocopy within your 5% or whatever it is. I can't remember what British Council says. So you can go in here and do extra skills activities. So what I mean is there's so much stuff that you can actually do that if you're ever short on planning time or taking over from somebody else who's sick, then everything's here basically. So you're never going to be. Why is that not working? Okay, I'm not going to go into it too much, but you've got all of these different sections here with extra skills practice. Okay, so again, something that's worth exploring. Phonetic chart as well. The workbook audio. So that's all here if you haven't got copies of the workbook to look at. And particularly if you've set them something from their workbook or the multi-skills ROM that they have with that, and you want to mark it in class, a good way to do it all together. Okay, is that clear? Great. Oh, no. Right, so, other aspects, and you've got grammar. This just brings up all of the grammar points that are key to your course. I might have to go actually zoom around. So dictionary as well is very useful. For things like learner training, study skills, it's quite good to encourage the students to actually come up and look for the word themselves, and makes it fun as well, maybe, hopefully. You can also check the pronunciation.
To be worth.
Okay, so maybe if they find a word that they don't know, you know, instead of just giving it to them, you say, okay, come up, get the dictionary up, try and find it. Does everybody know what that means? Or they could each in groups find a word that they need to come up and look up. Just makes it a bit more interactive, and again encourages learner autonomy. Just different ways of exploring that. Again, just a tool there for you. Strategies. Do you remember what comes in the back of the course book of real life?
They've only started
Testing
using it
you
since
here.
Monday.
They always look at the back. Okay, at the
Don't
back.
use it last year.
There are vocabulary lists, and there's a mini workbook. And
Well, there's the mini workbook, yeah, so that's right at the back. It's these back pages here. Exam skills and general skills. Okay. I mean, we know that throughout real life there is this element of exam practice, and although it's not explicit, what it's actually doing is preparing students for things like the IELTS test that maybe they don't know exists yet, or the Cambridge Suite. So that's one of the really good things about this course book, is that although the topics are stimulating and good for teenagers, actually surreptitiously we're preparing them for later on in life, and they don't even know it. So these skills bits here are
I think
just...
the workbook has exam skills
repeated
practice
here.
as well, doesn't it?
Yes, it does.
So if you wanted a bit more meaty grammar, you could throw in the exam skills.
Oh, what's happened there? Oh no, okay. How do I get out? Is there a cross there?
There's a menu on the right if you go. The floating menu.
I can't see.
There it is.
Across the top as well.
That's
Oh,
Windows
Windows
8.
8, isn't it?
There we go. Okay. Phew. Thought I was stuck there forever. Okay. Any questions so far, apart from things like what? Why is the hand not working?
Does it have extra, because of Duncan's question, does it have extra grammar that isn't in the book? Or is it just a...
This is not
This-
giving you any extra resources. All that
Right.
this is a summary of the key grammar points in each unit. Use it as
It's
you want
handy
to.
have
What
jump
you
together,
could do
actually.
is just get it up.
Supplementary.
Yeah, and these are regular verbs. That's printable as well, so you'll find lots of printable resources there. So what you can do with that, for example, is get them all again focused at the board and not, distracted with the. It's always quite boring for them to read through grammar rules anyway. But you could maybe get them all to read out a section, or I don't know, different ways of exploiting it. Yeah, you've been bad. No break. Okay, so those are the tools and resources that you've got for in the classroom use. Does anyone want to have a go at using it, or are you happy to practice secretly?
I would just move on to the teacher's stuff.
Okay, right. So, that's when you're in the class. You probably want to have a look at it before you go in. But for the teacher, you've got lots of resources to enhance your teaching. Is everyone familiar with Testmaster? No? We'll look at that in a second. but I'll go to resources first. So here you've got lots and lots of worksheets, fillers as well for you, and ideas of how to, word searches, vocabulary games, things like that. The workshops are really useful for teachers. So in fact there's even one on Active Teach. If today hasn't been enough, you can go and read through the document there, which shows you why Active Teach is useful and how to make the most of it. So all of these here are really for your benefit, not for the students. So I wouldn't recommend reading all of them at once, but you might want to read it bit by bit and kind of absorb it and go in your teaching, try and incorporate some of the ideas that they come up with. Photocopy worksheets. For every unit there is... Oh no, I'm here again. Oh no, I know where it is now. Okay, so all of your photocopyables are here in one place. So again, you don't need to go to the teacher's book, you don't need to do all of that photocopying. You can just come, print out what you need, and it's there and ready to go. Board plans, these are really, really good. Has anyone looked at these yet? No? Well, I suspect you're all very experienced teachers anyway, but these are really useful for teachers who are a bit shaky on their grammar. As you shouldn't be, but sometimes it's not always easy to teach grammar points. And these board plans are kind of steering you in the right direction as to how to present it to the students in a way that they will really understand it. So these are really, really handy. I mean, I would say that actually they're quite good to have a look at anyway if you still find it really hard teaching the present perfect continuous. What's a really good way to illustrate that visually? So board plans are a good place to go. Mentioned the DVD worksheets earlier, so when you do the DVD section you can print out any worksheets from here too, so that they can work on those while they're watching. Can you do it? Now you'll find in the course book that sometimes, let's find an example for you, you've got this can you do it icon. There we go, here's the example. Okay, so it looks like that. So basically it's getting the students to practice the language here that they've been looking at. There are extra worksheets here that you can use to really exploit that language that they've been doing. So when you see that icon, you know, okay, there's something extra they could do here. Maybe if you're not sure how long something will take, it might not take as long, and so you think, well, I better take something extra in, just in case they speed through this one. There are extra things here. Extra listening activities as well. I think that's it. That's boring. That's about listening. Okay. Right. So in terms of extra grammar, I don't know. I'd have to explore that one, I think. Because the extra resources are really to do more communicative activities, the photocopiables. But I can certainly ask somebody in the secondary at Pearson and see. Online as well. It's always worth checking the real life website. If you look in the teacher's book at the front, does anyone ever read the teacher's book? Not guilty. Oh, I take it to bed with me. Can't get enough of it. Oh no, I think this is C. So usually in the front of the teacher's book, you've got an explanation of all of the components. Yeah, so it tells you, for example, what's included as part of the course, student's book, workbook, Active Teach, but it also points you towards the website, where you can also find more resources that you can use too. That's the same across all of the course books. It's always worth exploring. I mean, there's a lot out there, sometimes a bit too much, it's quite overwhelming, but it's worth exploring, worth having a look at.
Is that a student's site? So is it
more
for
teachers?
All right.
For teachers, yeah. Teachers' resources, absolutely free, so downloadable and printable. You can find out more about the authors currently.
Sorry about that.
always worth knowing. Okay. Right, so let's go back. Last thing I want to show you is the test master. Do you assess your students frequently on these courses? Is it weekly? Is it bi-weekly?
Which is week, isn't it? The test. So
Or you could do an informal test at the end of each week, if you wanted to.
Okay. So test master is a really, really useful tool. Has anybody ever used a test generator from Pearson? Okay.
I've used something similar from Oxford, I think.
Yeah, it's probably the same idea.
Yeah.
So the test generator is a tool that you get if you use one of the course books. You can click on what kind of assessment you want to do, and it actually generates those questions for you. So you don't have to kind of cobble together different activities from the teacher's book or photocopy tests from the back. But all of these are really useful because you can edit them. So if you've done extra language, they all come up, I think they should come up as a Word document. I'm scared to press anything now. So what should happen is it comes up as a Word document that you can then edit.
It's at the bottom of that.
I think it said hello and then went home again.
It's bloody Windows 8.
There it is,
we
there
are.
it is.
Yay.
Spanking
Oh no.
It's worked over.
What's this? Okay,
That must be it, yeah.
is this one? That's not it. This is the grammar, isn't it? From Active Teach. Okay, here we go. So, this you'll be able to edit, print off, copy, paste, remove something you decided to skip so they can't test that, maybe put something else in, maybe you did a treasure hunt and you want to, I don't know, test what the vocabulary that they, came across when they were doing that. So they're all very, very useful to use because you don't have to think too much about putting the test together. Okay, so that's Test Master. So you've got lots of different tests that you can do. Now I've lost everything. So placement tests, short tests, end of course tests. Lots there to play with, so it's worth having a look at those as well. Makes everyone's life a lot easier. Test Master. Okay. Any questions about that at all? No? So, that's basically it in terms of what there is there. So going back a bit to what we discussed earlier, so in terms of how is this useful for you, how does this actually apply to you, or is it just something that is a bit gimmicky? Do you think that it actually would deal with any of those issues? If I go back to the page. Let's have a look at the page. So imagine you've got your students in the classroom.
I think the impact, if you're using visual images and zooming out, it has a greater impact because it's filling a screen. Most young learners are used to looking at screens rather than pages of books.
Yeah.
So it grabs people's attention.
So it fulfills that expectation. They expect maybe a bit of technology. They're using it all the time. They've probably all got tablets. They've all got iPhones. Most of them anyway. So yeah, there's that aspect. Do you think it helps with any of the other issues that we talked about in terms of classroom management? I can think of a few.
Well, if you want to go through something, then you've got people looking at the screen rather than looking at each other's, what other people are doing.
Yeah. So you know that they're focused, because if all their heads are up and they're looking at the screen, you know that they're not looking at their phone. Whereas often if you ask them to do an exercise and they're kind of like this, a bit furtive, a bit secretive, they might be texting. So if they're all looking up, then we know where their eyes are. I mean, other things, I mean, what about things like boredom, being distracted?
Well, it's another tool you can implement to add variety.
Yeah,
isn't it?
so when you've got these interactive versions of the exercises, again, it's changing the dynamic, it's changing the interaction. It's not just teacher, students, it's you know, adding an extra layer to that.
Yeah, but it's also important to be aware that doesn't dominate and become the focal point of
Oh no, indeed.
lessons as well.
Yeah.
So,
Active teach should not be the teacher.
yeah.
I mean, for example, if we look at this reading activity here, what you could do, so the first activity, well, is a prediction really, and then it's a scanning. So what you could do is do the scanning all together. So we zoom in on the text. And so we do that all together. Can everyone read that? I probably wouldn't be able to. But these are young people. Not that you're old, by the way. Let's see if I can. So this is when this might come in handy. So you could even do one
Yes.
side and then the other. Yeah.
Yes, that's good.
And then of course that makes it easier to do things like, ooh, passive. Look for more passive. So you could get them all to do the scanning all together. Okay, so that's kind of one interaction. And then, if you want to zoom out again, you just click on the arrow, or press the arrow if it's working. Then you could get them to do exercise 4 from their books together, maybe, or individually, so you're changing again the interaction or the dynamic. Then again, you come together for the feedback, and you do this interactive activity. So you get them all to come up, and maybe drag the correct answer in. And what's exercise 5? Exercise 5 is kind of reading for detail. So you could, again, get them to do that on their own, or in pairs, and then come back together as a group and highlight the information where they found the answer. Maybe looking at distractors or elements of, what's it called, discourse or coherence, cohesion, to help them, you know, explore the text and really think about their reading strategies as well. So it's a way of kind of flexibly moving from one exercise to the next without it seeming a bit samey or a bit clunky. So, okay, go back to your books again. Let's do them again. So it's just a way of spicing things up a bit, I think, in my opinion. Let's think about, last thing that I'll do then, I'll get you to look at a page. Let's go. Fast food. This is always fun. Okay, so imagine you've got this page here. Just go this one. Okay, so you've got this page here. How do you think you would exploit Active Teach in your lesson using these